all have a crazy uncle that you know, or you know, a crazy cousin that's been to prison, and you know they just got out of prison, or they're going to prison, or you know
so you find people who've been to prison.
Yeah, you know somebody that you know can relate.
Right. Good.
Yeah, so this is our office here. I'm gonna show you around real quick.
Okay. Oh, hey! Look at you! Nice to finally see you in person. Well, like see you on video.
And so, yeah, this is our little office here. We had this, and I got my dog.
Awesome. And you got the whiteboard.
Yeah, we got the whiteboards going on. So.
Oh, you got two. It's official now.
Well, yeah, that one is my wife's. That's
okay.
And then this one is mine. So, and then this is our assistant station right here. We're on our second assistant, and then my wife's got a mover. So we got 2 employees, and this is my wife's warehouse back here. So.
Wow.
Yeah, we have the one next to it as well. So.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to do this, bud. You know, when you told me the other day on the call that I know it came easy for you, but it's those things that sometimes come easy. You know how it is. It's when someone is stuck in a mindset, or I'm just thinking of like 5 different people right now that are just mentally stuck about how can I actually do this business with no money, right? And they miss the hustle part. They miss the hustle, and they think if I just sit and tap on these keys all day and I move around my mouse and I go to all these websites, that money's just gonna pop out of the CD-ROM or something. And so that's the whole point of the interview, man. I just wanted you, one, to share with these people your background, like your experience in real estate. And you can go as far back as you want. So starting off with like your background, how you got started in the whole business and the whole industry, and then some of the biggest challenges that you had, especially like when it comes to mindset challenges, like those roadblocks mentally, and then how you overcome those, and then also some of the deals you've done, and that recent deal that you just got under contract too, so that you're working on. So, yeah.
So my name is Forrest McGhee, and I'm in the Richmond, Virginia market. And so what I do is I'm a full-time real estate investor, and my wife has a separate home staging business, kind of keeps us involved in the ability to see all kinds of different things going on in the industry in our area. And so it keeps us pretty connected. And I got into real estate about 5 years ago now. And I started out doing it the wrong way. Didn't know how to value a house. Didn't know how to buy a house at the right price. Got in with a business partner that me and him made it almost through that house before the relationship went south. And then did the whole thing myself. Pretty well. There are certain things I refused to do, like the plumbing and the painting and stuff like that.
Right.
But just about everything else I did myself, and he helped some, and my wife helped a lot, and my father helped some, but it really took way too long, way too much money. We didn't buy it right, so the whole thing was really demoralizing, but I still felt like I wanted to do it. So we basically got educated in how you're supposed to buy a house correctly, and found a local mentor at first, and so now I've been doing direct-to-seller marketing and direct-to-seller buying of properties. And
so a few, just to interject there, just a few questions about your transition points after you did the first few deals that you did incorrectly. When you started off from HUD, when you say you shifted, can you share a little bit more about that, like the shifting part and why you shifted the strategy?
Yeah, so I kind of did it a little slower than I think some other people might have or did do it. So I kind of like just couldn't get a deal and couldn't figure out why I couldn't get a deal. And then finally realized, hey, I think it's because my my resource pool was dried up, so to speak. So I just need to go find
Okay.
something else. So I just went and, just started copying other people. I heard somebody say one time, all I do is just copy other people. And that's basically all that I do is just copy other people and what's working at that time. I'm not trying to go find out what is working. I'm just trying to see what's working and follow it. So that's pretty much where I, wasn't getting any deals. And if I'm in the real estate business, I have to have deals. So just find out what's working today and then go and do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you made the transition from finding HUD deals into direct to owner, what were some of the strategies that you started working on when it comes to that? Because I can think of over 50 different ways to attract motivated sellers, but what were some of the ways that you started off with at first?
So the first thing I did was I went and got Carrot websites and started working on SEO in those and just following their model and their guideline. And they say, works, and it works. So I went and started doing direct mail with your help. I started doing some direct mail and just kept pounding it till I got a deal. And it took like my third touch to actually get a contract on that, which was a little stressful, sending out $1,000 bills every month or every 2 weeks, not getting any return.
Hoping and praying that the phone rings.
I hope this $1,000 is the one that'll get me. So
that's so true.
So that worked after a while, and then.
Well, how did it work though? So how many mailings did you do, and
so
when you say it worked?
Okay. Yeah. So my list was about 1,200 people. And the particular list that I started with was 1,200 people. It was absentee owners with 70% or better equity or loan to value, whatever you want to call it. So that's the list that I basically pulled in, the southern part of our area, Richmond, because that was the price homes I was going for, is like under $200,000 price homes. I guess that was the other criteria. And so I just, hit them the first time. It was all yellow letter, and just kept hitting them and just kept hitting them. And I've learned a lot since then, but basically that's what I did. I just kept going. Yeah, I just,
Yeah. How many would you say, when you say you kept hitting them, how many times would you say you hit them until the results started coming in?
Well, you start getting phone calls after the, first mailing, but those usually aren't the phone calls.
Yeah.
So those are the people that, not motivated. They're either take me off your list, don't ever contact me again, or if you want to pay me, full value for my house, then, I'll let you have it, if you pay too much. So that was kind of the first mailing. And then the second mailing were a little bit more motivated, but really not great leads. And then the third one was like, hey, I've gotten your stuff a couple times, and you look like somebody that, I saw your website. That's another big thing is, the website's more of a credibility and kind of like an anchor source that you can kind of feedback on. And so then after they kind of research you a little bit, some of the people that have a problem, but they're not desperate, we'll do a little bit of research and see if you're real or if you're just, some fly-by-night guy. So after the third mailing is when I actually got a contract. But I would say probably got 20 to 30 phone calls for each mailing, but 98% of them or 95% of them were, not worth my time or take me off your list.
Right. Yeah. So out of that smaller percentage, you said you got about 30 to 40 calls each time off each mailing. And out of those calls, how many would you think you were turning? It was close a successful deal?
I would say 50 to 1 on direct mail.
Okay.
If people that I got, that were like a decent lead, that somebody I actually looked up the address and had a conversation. Right. So maybe better than that. Maybe 40 to 1.
Okay. All right. That's pretty good. So out of all the real estate strategies that you've tested so far, because you've tested a few so far, you've mentioned, direct mail, you've mentioned online SEO, and I'm sure you've probably done some of the other ones that, I mean, there's a plethora, but out of all the ones that you've tried, which one has been your favorite so far?
I like PPC and Facebook ads.
Okay, why?
Because if they're contacting you, it's because you know they have a problem, and they just want you to solve their problem. You're not like trying to convince people that they have a problem. They already know they have a problem, and they're just trying to find somebody they can trust to solve their problem. So that's what I like.
Yeah. Right. And what do you do, like, when you're talking to a homeowner to build trust? You know, whether the phone call is just coming in from a letter or PPC or Facebook, something like that. What is your way of building trust?
Well, I try to build rapport. I try to, and we all have things in common with somebody. We can all talk about something. We all have a crazy uncle that or a crazy cousin that's been to prison, and they just got out of prison, or they're going to prison, or
so you find people who've been in prison.
You know somebody that can relate with something that these people are going through if you talk to them enough. So their family screwed them, or a contractor screwed them like that. There's some way that you can develop some kind of common ground. So I just try to find that, just talking through rapport, and then getting them to trust me. So sometimes, people, they want to deal with somebody that kind of knows what they're doing. So this takes time. It's nothing that developed overnight, but, I tell them, I say, well, all you have to do is Google my name, and, I'm everywhere, right? I can't run from anybody, because
wow, that's a powerful thing.
But you just Google Forrest buys houses or Forrest McGhee, and you said, I'm all over the internet. I said, how can I ruin that reputation if I've spent so much time trying to build a reputation? I said, how can I spend that much time, or how can I ruin it at this point? I said, I can't. I can't hide from anything. That was something somebody was asking me about, if I don't pay their payment. I was working on a subject to deal, and he said, what if you don't pay the payment? I said, I've got way too much time invested in my reputation to not pay your $1,000 a month payment. I said, I can't do that. I can't run that risk of seeing people seeing that on the internet. So I said, and that was enough for them. So
absolutely. Well, that's a powerful reason. That's a powerful reason. It's a powerful element to build trust. It brings up a client that I'm working with in Ohio, and he's hiring a contractor. And when he went and researched the contractor, because it was a referral, and he didn't just want to lean only on the referral. So because it was, the referral, the first referral was really speaking highly of him and all that. So when he Googled his name, he looked him up, and he tried to find some information about the contractor. He found only one review, literally only one review, no other good ones, no other bad ones, just one review. And it was a 1-star, very bad review. Mm-hmm. And he asked me, he's like, what do I do with this? I said, honestly, just face it straight on. Just ask the contractor straight and direct, because I even heard he did good business. So find out what that's about. So when he called him, he contacted him. He said, hey, man, that was just one client. He went over the whole situation. I'm not going to go into detail here. But the contractor went over the whole situation and explained it, and said that he tried to resolve it with them, but they were so stubborn. But he tried to do his part, make it right. So that gave him enough reason. But what you're saying is so true, because today, especially with the internet, anyone can, find out who you are, more about you, and also find out, can they trust you? So that's a great line that you use to build trust with your sellers. That's awesome. And there was something else that you mentioned about when you're talking and dealing with sellers. How do you personally handle, like, the rejection? Right? There's a bunch of people that are going to say no, take me off your list. I'm sure there's people who are irate and just mad. How do you handle that?
Maybe not as well as I should. So, everybody has a weakness, and one of my
Hmm.
weaknesses is overcoming objections. There's easier ones to overcome than others.
Hmm.
However, like if somebody says take me off your list, I'm not trying to make an enemy, so I just take them off the list, right? I'd be like, okay, they're obviously not going to sell right now. Maybe everybody else isn't taking them off their list, and when it comes time for them to actually have a problem and need a solution, I might be the only one that like did what they asked, and they might be like,
Right.
this
Yeah.
guy's
Yeah.
the only one that obeyed, right? So
Right. Right.
my card out of the stack and go like, and I'm gonna call this guy. So you never know. But simple objections, like you know, so some people like oftentimes I'll get somebody that says, well, I could just fix the house up myself for, that kind of money that you're asking as a discount. And I'd be like, well, I don't think so, because you don't manage contractors. You don't do this, right? You have an office job, or you're a school teacher. You don't have the time for this.
Hmm.
And, what I can do in a month is going to take you 3 to 4 months, or
Mm.
what I can do for $10,000 is going to cost you $15,000 to $20,000, because somebody's going to, take your money. Somebody's going to hit you with change orders. Somebody's going to not do what they said they're going to do. And so, that's one of the objections that I try to overcome. And then, if somebody says, what about, or I'm just not really ready to sell it, I'm like, well, why'd you call me? Just kind of keep digging for information. Why'd you reach out?
Right.
And, or, I also try to get multiple strategies or multiple solutions to their problem. And, maybe the cash offer isn't, exactly what they need or exactly what they want. So I can
Okay.
offer a couple of different things.
Yeah. And when they're calling in, do you or did you have like a questionnaire or a script that you would follow maybe in the beginning when these calls were coming in, or do you still even have that in front of you?
I do not.
Okay.
I don't
Did you
usually.
ever?
I just kind of let them. Well, I see them all the time, and my Podio CRM has got a script in it, for a live answer, but
Yeah.
I don't do it. I just, I kind of let the conversation go how it is, and how I start out a conversation. I just, tell me what's going on, or
Yeah.
what and I try to get them to start talking about the property, because the property will always lead into what their pain is, what their problem is. So, like for example, they're like, yeah, the property's nice. It's got 3 bedrooms, but it could be a 4th bedroom. But my brother, who was living there, was took the wall out because he thought he was going to make it bigger this bedroom. So it starts leading into the pain just by getting to talk about the property. So I always try to get him to talk about the property first before, or sometimes it's like, oh, tell me what's going on. How can I help you? Or what's going on? What's the situation? Just I just kind of keep it as interesting as I can for myself. But I'm not a script kind of guy. I just kind of let them take me where they want to take me.
Sure. And what do you think is the most important part of your entire conversation with the seller? Like what do you really search for that's going to, aside from property details, but what do you really try to get out of the conversation when you're on the phone with the
I'm trying
seller?
to gauge their motivation. I'm trying to gauge how much money they have in the deal. Like, for example, I'll kind of play a little game, keep myself entertained, but it's also kind of pressure point. I ask really loaded questions. Just, but we were talking about like how many bedrooms and how many bathrooms it has, and then
Yeah.
we're talking about the backyard, and then I'll say, well, how much money do you owe in the house? Right? I just like completely blindside them with a question.
Yeah.
Questions as like, so what's your payoff on the house, right? And
Yeah.
I'll know whether they're motivated by if they answer that question or not. If they say they don't answer that question, I'm like, okay, so, or you just send
Yeah.
an offer, right? Then they're just wasting my time at that point. If they're not willing to be honest with me, they're either too fearful to make a decision, in my opinion, or they just they're not going to accept my cash offer. anyway. So
I see. Yeah.
But I just throw some crazy questions, and I do that all the time. Like, just in general life, I'll just go out and I'll just ask really hard questions of people. Sometimes just personal questions, just because it practices me. It gives me practice, to do that kind of stuff. So because a lot of people are so scared of that. A lot of people are so scared of asking those difficult questions, but it's important. You got to know if you're going to waste your time putting an offer together, and they owe more than the house is worth. It's not worth it. Or if they're not going to tell you, it's probably not worth it. So.
Right. So to tie what you're saying right now into going back to the part where you say you struggle with sometimes is the getting the no's, the rejection, or someone saying taking me off your list. Do you ever because I know that's a big problem for a lot of people. Not only just an irate seller on the phone taking me off of your list, but the part of making even the offer, I don't want to offend someone. What if they think I'm crazy? Right. All that kind of, how did you ever struggle with that part of making the offer, and how did you handle it?
I did. I guess I struggle. I should make an offer on everything, and sometimes I don't. I can think of, sometimes that I say, man, I should have just made an offer anyway, just throwing it out there, just if nothing more than just for practice. But I guess it just comes a point where it's like you have to make an offer. You have to. And if you're in this business, you're in the making offers business, and you can't buy a house if you don't make an offer. So you you go back to being a teacher, or your daytime job, or you learn how to make offers. As simple as that. It's just part of the business, right? So
it's true.
It's like going to the grocery store. If you want to eat, you gotta go to the grocery store. So
it's true. That's a good reference. That's true. So that's great. Thanks for sharing that. And so let's fast forward to today or recently. I know you've been super busy with a lot of the deals you got going on. Let's talk a little bit let's transition into that, about, what has led to the increase in deals and some of the most recent deals that you're working on.
I think that, so I've got deals working on. So looking at my whiteboard, I've got a deal that I got handed in March. It was a wholesaler that found me on the internet from Texas, and he had a lead come across his PPC, and he couldn't do anything with it. So he was talking to a couple wholesalers in our area, and he said, "You're the only one that sounds like they know what they're talking about. So, here, I'm going to do an assignment contract to you." Well, actually, we did a joint venture agreement, and that thing got stuck in a title issue, and it's been going since March. And on Wednesday of this week, my lawyer says she's finally got everything. And I've been through 2 lawyers on this. Okay.
Wow.
And since March, the first one gave up, and then I gave it to my other lawyer, and she's got everything done, and she just needs to get the HUD together now before all the pricing expires, like the tax prorations and all this stuff. So she's like right there, right? I mean, she's like in the last 10 seconds of the football game, and I can see the victory, right? So that one has been long and painful, and for a simple little wholesale, right? It's been
well. Do you mind sharing the profit on the deal? Do you mind sharing that, because that's a long time too. The time is long, and what I love most about what you just said is you got this from another wholesaler who was the one who did the marketing, got the lead, and then you got it through him, so you didn't even pick up the lead.
Yeah. So originally what happened was we were going to joint venture the deal. We were going to both do $5,000 a piece. And so it was a $10,000 assignment fee. And so then I sold the house in 2 days to somebody who was going to fix and flip it. And he couldn't stomach the time. So he backed out of the deal, and he had actually taken it to his lawyer. And that was the first one that she got so discouraged after he backed out. I said, "I'll take it." And I found the funding for it. I said, "Just keep going." And she finally just let it die. And so I took it to my lawyer, And I said,
Yeah.
Paige, here's the situation. See what you can do. And she got everything done, and she's about ready to close it, just because she was willing to do what other people, weren't willing to, just keep on calling, right? Or be consistent. So then I just went on and funded it, and I'm just going to close it and just figure out what I'm going to do after that. But I'm just going to go on and close it.
Awesome. Oh, that's great. That's good. That's good. And then I think you're currently working on a rehab, right? You said, I think, or was that the one that was just like a few months ago?
So let's go through that one. So I got another deal. So we went. So I found a lady. I do SEO, and so it's so competitive in Richmond, right? So somebody told the Richmond market to start SEO, and so it got so competitive. But one of the great things that Care does, I know we're not on a commercial for Care, but I really value them. So one of the things once you get your website going and get it optimized well, then you can do city-specific landing pages. So you can hit all the little cities, around the state. And so when you get in these smaller cities that are 50, 60, 100,000 people, the SEO is not so competitive. So you can get, ranked pretty high pretty quickly. And so that's what happened. And this lady saw my, ad, my webpage when she was searching for who buys houses in Waynesboro. And so she hit me up and she said, "Hey, I got a house I need to sell. My brother's living in it. He's a deadbeat. He's not paying the rent. And I just took a job in Maryland and I got to go. So will you buy my house?" So I said, "Sure. I'll come take a look at it." But she owed a lot of money on the house. She owed almost what the house is worth, the actual value with the condition. And so I said, "Well, I'll take the contract, but I'll see what I can do," because it was rented, it's livable, it's just not in good shape. So, I just treated her right. And so then the next day, her friend calls me up. And her friend said, that you took care of her, you treated her nice, you're trustworthy, and can you take a look at my house? And so I said, okay. So I took a look at her. I took a look at both houses at the same time, because this one wanted to see face to face. The other lady took the contract over I just sent her the electronic contract, and she signed it, sent it back. We had never met. And then the other lady wanted me to go see the house. So I went and saw the house, and it was a different process, right? They wanted to see face to face. They wanted to talk. They wanted to show me this, show me that. They wanted to have their lawyer review the contract, et cetera, et cetera. So I ended up getting 2 contracts off of one, SEO, right? Of a one Google search. So, to bring this thing all the way in. So the first person that found me, I couldn't make the deal happen. I couldn't wholesale it for the price. And she ended up renting it to her father instead. And that deal ended up falling through. However, the other one, the friend that got led to it, I ended up buying that house and getting it funded as a fix and flip. But then I was talking with you and I was talking with my wife, and I said, I really don't want to flip that far away. Even though I've done it before successfully, I really just don't want to do that. And I just got back from a mastermind in Texas, and everybody in Texas talked about how they're wholesaling and basically doing as little as possible to the house, and then just putting it on the MLS because it has the largest resource of potential buyers, and you make more money than if you were going to wholesale it, because investors are buying to basically a strict model of 70% ARV or better for them, right? And but MLS people are buying at a higher price because they don't know better. And you go all the way back to 5 years ago when I started, I didn't know better, and I bought at a higher price. So somebody named Nathan told me a while ago, don't predict, which, don't try to tell your buyers what to buy the house for. Let them tell you what they're going to buy the house for. So that's basically along with that philosophy. So I said, okay, we'll do it. So we listed it on a Friday and had a contract on Tuesday. Or I listed it for $89,900. I got a contract for $87,000. I bought it after closing costs and all that stuff because I did a deed of trust and stuff like that for the loan that I did and everything. After everything was done, I was all in at like $63,000, and I was trying to wholesale it for $70,000 and ended up selling it for $87,000, less 6% commission to the buyer and seller agent. So it was better. It was better, and I'm gonna do it again. Can't wait.
And so it's been closed on already?
I own it, and and I'm in a contract for them to close by December 14th.
Okay, December 14th. Awesome.
So
that's fantastic.
And so here's the thing: like, I was going to renovate this thing all winter and have it ready for the March, April, May market. And my renovation budget was $45,000. And so I was going to have to put $45,000 of work and effort into a house in the middle of winter. And my expected profit was $30,000 to $40,000. So I took like $18,000, and I didn't have to do anything but put a lockbox on it. I moved the piano around. I staged the dining room because it had some chairs. I had this empty.
You're probably playing the piano. Yeah, like, I'm going to play this thing, play on my profits.
You know, it was a beautiful house. I was excited about, flipping it. But at the same time, I was like, if I could take, 60% of the money and not do any of the work, it'll allow me to focus on getting more deals. And then when I'm a little bit more comfortable, then I can, decide if I want to flip, something at that time. But 60% of what I was going to make and not have to do 3 months worth of work and project that the market's going to be strong, in the springtime, I took it. I'm going to take it and run.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And so I just want to elaborate on some of that because, wholesaling is not a common thing for a lot of people, right? It's not just not commonly known, but it's also market conditional too. So right now it works really good, and it's a good time to do that. I wanted to bring up a point though, just to be clear on the purchase, on the first purchase. Did you use your own money or did you use someone else's money?
No, I borrowed all that money.
Awesome. So let's recap the whole thing here. You got the lead. Wait, you got the lead. You couldn't do anything with the first lead. You got a referral because of how nice you are, right? Just because you treated the customer well, built a relationship, see what you can do, got the referral, got another deal from her friend, got that property under contract, bought it with none of your own money, and then decided to wholesale it and make about an $18,000 profit. In how many days, by the way? Was this a month? No. Yeah. How many days?
From beginning to end?
Yeah.
So I found the property. I closed. I had it under contract, and I had a 30-day escrow period from when I got it under contract to when I bought it. And then I bought it on a Wednesday, listed it on that same Friday, that same week Friday, and had a contract to sell it the following Tuesday. So 1 week, I owned it for 1 week, and I had a contract to sell it.
Right. Huge. That is huge, man. So let me ask you this, though, because that first of all, the results are awesome there. But the mindset part, where has that come from? Because I believe that to see the opportunity, right, just to see and envision that kind of opportunity, like the possibility of what can I do here, doesn't come from thinking about someone's personal problems or, how am I going to close my next deal and all that kind of stuff. But I want to ask you personally, what was it that led you to that point of seeing those kinds of opportunities in your mindset?
So what led me to that is I couldn't have learned any of that unless I just listened to other people who are already doing it. And it gave me the confidence that I can do it too. And it didn't come easy. I mean, I haven't I haven't had the same, success growth, that trajectory that I've seen other people have. Like some people are just like, I don't know how they do it, right? They get in this real estate business, they fall forward so fast, and then next thing you know,
Yeah.
they're doing 10 houses a month.
Right.
That's not me, right? Everything that I've done has been incredibly difficult, and mindset and everything. But you listen to enough people that are doing it, and sooner or later you say, well, I guess I can do it too. And so you just going, and listening to people, going to local networking events and seeing people do it, and that's great. But I started kind of getting out of my local area and started doing masterminding, and of course doing with Larry, and just anybody that I can get around to help build my confidence up. That's how
Right. Yeah. And one of the things you said earlier, which I think is phenomenal, is what, in a way, you said what I call success leaves clues, right? It's that whole point about stealing ethically, right? legally copying what other people are doing and applying it to your own business, not to reinvent the wheel. And sometimes after you do it, I'll never personally have a personal testimony to this, that I remember earlier in 2018, I was struggling with a certain strategy in real estate. And you know what I did? I literally looked at one of my buddies in the industry. I said, I am literally going to copy everything he's doing. Like, that's it. I'm just going to copy him. I'm going to copy every email. I'm going to copy every letter. I'm going to copy every autoresponder he puts out to his sellers. I'm just going to copy everything. And you know what? I changed my name. I changed my, I don't want to say it like that, but I replaced his name and his details with my details of my company. And you know what? The damn thing worked. And I couldn't believe, I sat there and I said, wow, all I had to do was copy what he did. And it wasn't like he cared, like, oh, don't copy me or anything like that. It was just duplicate what someone else has done that has been successful. And sometimes you could sit back and say, man, I didn't realize it was that easy. I didn't realize it was that easy. Why did I struggle so much? And I think it's because we feel like we have to make everything or do it all ourselves. It's that mindset of, if I don't do it myself in my own way, then I'm not, then I'm it's not gonna work right? Or if I just copy them, then they're gonna say something, or they're gonna get mad at me. When actually, especially in this industry, people love to share. Anyone who's out there online sharing their strategies, they're basically telling you to copy them. But I think sometimes we just get caught up in the little details along the way and not just duplicating it. And I just love hearing the success stories and people that say, you know what, I just copied and I just did exactly what the system said or what the course said. I just copied it, verbatim, and it got me the results. And you said another powerful thing too, is you've worked with coaches and been masterminds. And I think that is one of the most powerful things that anyone can do. If I could go back 13, 14 years with what I know today, and I do this now, but if I knew what I knew today then, I would have never gone to as many seminars as I did, hundreds. And I would have just hired coaches and mentors along the way,
Yeah, I think that the seminars thing is different than the masterminding. The masterminding, like the last one I just went to, you guys stand up in front of the room and say what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and let everybody correct you, right? That's a humbling experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the easiest thing in the world to do, is to just tell you you're messing up. Because one of the problems that I deal with all the time, and it's just it's what everybody deals with, is you got to get out of your own way, and you got to people to get some things done that just aren't getting done because you're not focusing on, you just got too much to do. I mean, you can't be a business owner and not have people helping you. So, that's, next year, that's my biggest challenge and my biggest, growth thing that I have to deal with, is get people taking care of all the things that I don't need to be taken care of. So,
yeah. Well, that's a good transition. Kind of as we wrap up this interview, I just want to ask you, what do you see for next year? I know we're coming up towards the end of the year, and you shared a little bit earlier with me about the VAs and that how you're expanding that. So, what's your vision? How do you want 2019 to be for you?
Yeah, so my 2019, I really want to continue in the wholesaling and the transactional part of it. I like closing the deals, taking the title. Everybody has a bad connotation on assignment contracts. I don't care, what forum you go to or who you talk to. Everybody thinks that they're, not right or backhanded or whatever. And even the customers, they're bombarded with people that are just gonna, assign their contracts. So if I can actually buy it and help one of my investors make a few $1,000s in their retirement account, and then take title, do what I said I'm going to do. Tell these people if I'm going to buy a house, I am going to buy a house. I'm not I'm not a contract negotiator. And then just keep doing that over and over again, because I'm making a little bit more money. And, I'm actually buying people's house, and then it gives me a choice whether I want to flip it or not. I might fall in love with it and get all emotionally tied up in sticks and bricks. But
Right.
I really want to do that. I want to get more involved with the online. I really feel that the online they're motivated coming through the door. And I like that strategy of it. I don't really like building motivation. I don't really like trying to convince somebody that they have a problem. I just want to solve their problem. I don't want to keep telling them they have a problem. Right. They can figure it out. Yeah. And once they figure that out, right. And then that's what I want to do. Just transactions. Just get as good as I can, and then focus on the business and try to get rid of all the details and put that to other people. So building a team, an internal team, and getting more transactions. That's what I want to do.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. And I know we'll work on that together along the way, going into 2019 also, because I've done that for a long time. I've even done it with other clients of mine where, whether it's helping them find a virtual assistant or different resources to find them. But I've done it so many times that, I know it very, very well. So yeah, I know we can work on that together as well. And last question I have for you, I see the map on the background. So I'm just wondering, where do you want to go next? Where's your next travel destination for 2019?
Okay, so I got to explain the map. All right, so hold on. So this map was given me by my sister. Let's see if I can do this right. Uh-huh. This map is
it's the scratch map.
Everywhere that you've been, you get to scratch.
Nice.
So you know this. Several people know this. So, I traveled around the world for a while. So yeah. So and then my wife has traveled quite a bit, and my wife's from Malaysia. So that's one of those scratch travel maps. That's kind of cool. My sister gave that to us a year or two ago. So next on our travel list is in February. So we just joined a mastermind. It's a quarterly mastermind, and that's in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay.
In February, and then we might go to Brazil. We have some missionary friends that have to go and get their passports redone in Brazil, and they invited us to go there. Maybe January, February, March, something like that. And I'm sorry, I'm talking about so doing that. So those are probably the two things that we have on the radar right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I got to get myself one of those scratch maps. I saw it online. I think it was an ad for it, and I was like, yes. So that's really cool. You have one. I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna order it. So when I get to the US, I'm gonna do a video about it. But that's so cool. Do you know how many countries you've been to so far? Because I know you said you're a world traveler.
When I did it as a profession, I did like 14 countries. I worked in 14 countries, and since then, I guess me and my wife have been to probably 5 or 6.
Nice.
5 or 6 together that I haven't been to. Yeah, so that's about right. So maybe about 20 countries.
Nice.
It's awesome. Traveling is in the world. We love it.
Yeah, it is. That's great. That's
You wouldn't
great.
know.
Well, man, thanks so much. What's that? Say it
You
again.
wouldn't know anything about traveling, would you?
No, I don't know anything about traveling.
Homebody.
I literally, I'm so addicted to it. Like before we got on this call, I was already plotting and planning my next flight.
Yeah. Well,
like,
while we're just rapping on the computer here, tell me. So, what was your favorite thing about backpacking through Europe when you did?
oh man, that was okay. So I think I told you we did that for about 6.5 months. We started in Milan, and I think my favorite part was this just being spontaneous. Like, I've done Europe in three different ways. The first way I did it by bus. I used Globus bus tours. That was really cool. You fly into a location, they accommodate, everything's included except some extra excursions and some meals or whatever, and shopping, you pay that on your own. But basically they take care of all the hotels, and you jump on a bus and they start taking you different places. They stop, you go through every city, and then you go back to the bus stop and all that stuff. Really nice. Tour guides all over the way. If you really like history and like to learn about history along the way, that's a great way to do it. The second way I did it was river cruises. And this is all of Europe, by the way. So then I would go to like the Danube River, the Rhine River. I did the different rivers in Europe. I think I did 4 of those. Yeah, 4 of those. And again, I did that through the Viking. There's a few lines that do this, but one of them is called the Viking Tours and Avalon. I personally like the Avalon tours. The Viking is a little bit more expensive, but I didn't really see the difference in value. So I would say Avalon Waterways was really nice. And kind of the same thing, but you're leaving your luggage on the boat. You don't go from hotel to hotel. So now you're leaving your luggage on the boat. You eat on the boat. I mean, endless amounts of food. Like all you do is eat. But you eat on the boat, and then you stop, and they have entertainment at night and all that good stuff. It's not a cruise liner boat, though. I want to make that clear because most people think, oh, big carnival boat. No. This is actually like a 3-decker boat. It's like 3 levels. That's about it. And it's flat on top, and you can, sit outside. I went during the winter time. Don't do it. I mean, everybody wait. Everybody talks about the Christmas season in Germany and all that in Austria. If you can manage the cold, that was probably the worst European trip I've ever took because it was so cold. It was really cold. And then the third way was just being spontaneous. Like, so we flew in. The apps that I used during my trip was Google Maps. Absolutely amazing, because Google Maps not only tells you like car driving directions, but it tells you walking directions, train, bus. That was huge because when you're in Europe, there's a lot of trains in the area. So in different countries, so it would tell you how far to walk to the nearest train, what time the train is leaving, the exact train you need to be on, the number of the train. I mean, it was so detailed. Google Maps, 2 thumbs up. I also used another app called Google Trips, which literally, when we got to an area, I would download a map and they would say the top things to do in that area. That's what I do. So literally, I would star the ones I wanted, and that would communicate with Google Maps, by the way, and it would tell you, oh, you want to go see this site. And I'd be like, yeah, that's right. In Google Trips, I wanted to go see that. So we saw basically in every place we went, we saw the highlights without a tour guide. So that was the difference. We could have hired a tour guide and got a little history. We didn't do that. We just went at our own leisure, which was really cool also. The third app, which I think was great also, which is called the Go Euro app. And that app you can tell someone already designed it with experience, because it's basically for booking travel. It basically gave you 3 different options. Do you want to go by bus, train, or air? And it would show you the different prices. So if you wanted to compare, should we go from Switzerland? Should we go from Switzerland to Germany by bus, plane, or train? And here are the different prices. Really cool, and you could book it right through the app as well. That was my 3 favorite apps. And then to summarize our whole journey, we did it tough too, because we took a 1.5-year-old who could barely walk. She was walking, but barely. And we took a 3-year-old during that time. And I have to say, between being spontaneous and doing what we wanted when we wanted to, like if we were tired of an area, it was, okay, let's go. You know, we're going to go to another place. Oh, and sorry, one last thing for us. For accommodations, I used the Ritz-Carlton or Marriott hotel app, but we didn't stay at Marriott brands the whole time. We didn't stay at Marriott hotels the whole time. Certain places, for example, in Brussels, we stayed at the Ritz-Carlton downtown, right next to this famous monument. I wanted it like that. Then, for example, there was many other places we just did Airbnb. That was the first time, and I know you and I have talked about this quite a bit in short-term rentals. That trip was the first time I ever did Airbnb. I had never done it before. Even though I have short-term rentals, I had never like stayed in them. So that whole 2018 for me was actually the time I like stood in someone else, like an Airbnb. And we did that in different countries along the way. So that was really cool. I would say we did Airbnb probably 80% of the time, and then we did Marriott the rest, the 20%. So that's how we did it. I hope they answered your question, but that was the summary of the trip there and how we did it. And that was probably my favorite moments of the travel part, and just going and seeing what we want when we wanted to.
Did your wife like it?
Yeah. Actually, you know, it was interesting. The reason why we first started that trip, years ago, my wife just wanted to see Switzerland. We have a vision board, and on the vision board was Switzerland. And I had been to Switzerland years earlier on one of my European trips. So I said, you know what, we're going to go to Switzerland. Forrest, I'm not kidding you. It started off with me booking a trip just to go to Switzerland. I canceled that first part of the trip. I said, you know what? Why don't we just start in Milan and work our way up? And literally that's when we just went totally spontaneous. I said, you know what, babe? Let's just see where this takes us. We'll go to Switzerland, but let's just see where this takes us. And we ended up doing Switzerland twice. We did it from Milan and going into Switzerland. So we did it on the way in because we also stopped at Lake Como, which is right on the borderline of Switzerland. So we did it going at the start of the trip. Then on the way back to Milan, because we went back through Europe an entirely different way. We went back through Switzerland again. So we did Switzerland twice. 2 thumbs up. Forrest, again, thank you so much for taking the time to do this, bud. And again, I just commend you for and give you props, man, for never giving up on the business and on yourself. Like, that is huge. Like, all the experience that you've gotten from, I remember when we first met, and then the first time, you know, some of our first few calls and the struggle you went through to get to where you're at today. It just clearly shows you've never given up on the business and on yourself. And it's truly that alone. Yeah, the money's great. It's cool, and there's so much you can do with it. But the personal achievement along the way is what makes it even better. So that's awesome, man. I give you a huge congratulations for that, bud.
Thank you so much.